How's it going, you beautiful and sexy people? I'm not doing that again. How's it going, people? My name is Arnold, and today we are going to be talking about my classes at Yale. I wanted to split it up into semester 1 and semester 2, but semester 1 has passed already, and right now I am in the middle of semester 2, so why not combine them and talk about my classes as a first year at Yale University. So for my first year at Yale, I took 4 classes for 4.5 credits. Generally, one class at Yale is equal to 1 credit, and you need to have at least 8 or 9 credits, I think, to move to the next level from like a first year to a sophomore. So first semester I took 4.5 credits. I took Chinese 110, Elementary Modern Chinese 1, which is for 1.5 credits, Political Science 113, Introduction to American Politics, which was for 1 credit, Astronomy 130, Origins and the Search for Life in the Universe, which was 1 credit, and Theater 098, Composing and Performing the One-Person Play, which is another 1 credit class. So yeah, once again, I'm an undecided major, so I haven't been really preparing or choosing classes specific for a major yet, but potentially. So this is what my schedule looked like in terms of the time frame. So for Chinese, I'm taking level 1 because I wanted to study from the foundation up. My dad is Chinese, but he never taught me Chinese, so I really wanted to learn Mandarin at a very foundational level to be able to build the skills and like genuinely actually learn it. And it is a very intensive class. Languages here at Yale are very intense. You meet 5 days a week, plus an individual mandatory tutorial section you have with a TA where you talk about things and do worksheets, daily homework, daily quizzes, bi-weekly exams, weekly oral quizzes, monthly oral exams. Like, there's just a lot of work for Chinese. You always have to write characters, memorize things every day, new dialogue every day. It's very intense. There's a lot of work, but it's also very fun because the teacher is so nice. She's such a sweetheart. She is very nice, very funny, and also class goes by really quickly because from the first year, there were only about like 8 to 10 people in the class, and also in the second year as well. So it's a very small class, very interactive, very quick, but I think that I am genuinely learning it. So hopefully next summer I can study Chinese in Beijing, but we'll talk about that later. Now, Introduction to American Politics is not an AP Government course. They specifically said that they did not want it to replicate an AP Government course, but I'm just interested in political science and government and like all that stuff. So like, why not take the class? So it was a huge lecture hall. I think 80 to 100 people. So it's basically learning the basics on how government works and how political parties work, and kind of like that. So I guess to some extent it was kind of like AP Government, but it was slightly more advanced. And in addition to the lecture hall, we also had a weekly discussion section for 50 minutes where we would have kind of like a seminar format and talk about the readings. The class wasn't as hard, but we did have at least like 100 to 200 pages of readings. You didn't have to do all of the readings, but they would have like random pop quizzes sometimes in the class. Reading is very beneficial, and I recommend that you block out time to do the readings because reading is fundamental. And now the third class I had was Astronomy 130. It was a lecture hall that only met twice a week. And it was a very interesting and cool class because not only was I able to get a science requirement out of it, but the professor is very accomplished. She is such a sweetheart. She is so nice. Sometimes she went through the material very quickly, and she also wrote her own textbook, which we had to read, and also have weekly problem sets. But for the most part, it was pretty manageable. Nothing too difficult, very cool topics, very cool stuff. I mentioned this in a previous video, but for one of the requirements for the grade was that you were allowed to see the stars and planets through this telescope where we walked up Science Hill. It was just very cool, fascinating class. I've never studied anything like astronomy, so why not? It seemed very interesting. And the last class I took my freshman year was Theater 098, Composing and Performing the One-Person Play, with the lovely Hal Brooks. He was our professor. He's also a freelance director and actually wrote so many famous plays. For both our midterm and final, we had to write a play, a one-person play, and also perform it. And my one-person play was about my sweet mate Chucho, which I might perform or might talk about more later, but it was just a very fun class because it was a small seminar. This is actually a special class at Yale called the First Year Seminar Program. So if you're a first year, you get to apply to one of these selective seminars, and because they're very popular and very selective, you don't really know which one you're gonna get. Luckily, this one was actually the first in my list, and I actually got it, and it was just so fun. I made so many friends. We still contact each other till the day. We still support each other, and it was just very collaborative and fun, and we wrote all these funny stories, and we did all these funny exercises. And the class wasn't too rigorous, but it was very rigorous on a creative level, but it was a very fun class. We only met once a week, and we did our midterm performances, and the class had kids who did theater before and kids who never did theater before. He also took us out to New York to watch an off-Broadway show, and it was also funny how we would watch plays and read plays, and at the end of the play it would be like, oh, directed by Hal Brooks, which is him, and be like, oh, what a surprise. But yeah, my freshman year schedule was pretty chill. Nothing too rigorous, definitely manageable. Had a lot of readings, had weekly problem sets, had daily Chinese every day, had that creative break with theater on Mondays. So for semester 2, naturally, I am taking level 2 Chinese just to get that 3-level language requirement at Yale. I still love the class, but I feel like it's getting slightly harder, but I still love it, and I think that I'm genuinely learning the language. It's a very fun class. Oh, actually, I forgot to actually list out all the classes. So I'm taking Chinese 120, Elementary Modern Chinese 2, Political Science 118, The Moral Foundations of Politics, Econ 115, Introductory Microeconomics, and a Psych 110, Introduction to Psychology. So yeah, Chinese is pretty much the same, and Political Science 118, which is a class that we like to call Mofopo. It's a very cool class because I never took anything like ethics or philosophical related. I'm doing the writing intensive course, so we have 2 big papers that we have to write. There are a lot of readings. There's also a weekly seminar for that class, a discussion section, where we just talk about all these thinkers and philosophers and these ideas and ideologies in a small group, compared to the class, which is actually a pretty big lecture hall. A lot of readings, but not as much as Political Science 113 last semester. I'm also taking Econ 115, Introductory Microeconomics, because I never took an econ course, but it's a very cool class. I get a quantitative reasoning credit, which is something that you need at Yale for graduation. And it's just very interesting, very cool, very mathematical, but also very conceptual. I like econ, it's pretty cool. Econ is also a big lecture hall, and we also have a weekly discussion section. The vibe of the discussion sections kind of reminds me as like a weekly review session, and it really does help you with the midterms. And my last class is Introduction to Psychology, Psych 110, with Marvin Chun, the man. It is honestly a very fun and engaging lecture. I love going to the lecture because it is just very fun. It's also very, very big. So many kids take the class, but at the same time, there are also a lot of readings and a lot of information that you do have to like read and retain. So it's a very fun class, but it's definitely not like a super, super easy class, but it's cool, and I never took psychology either, so this semester is kind of like I'm taking all these courses that I've never actually learned before for the intellectual curiosity, but at the same time, it's also very diverse, and I can also get my requirements in. But yeah, those are the 8 classes I'm taking. I'm taking 9 credits at Yale, and I'm also going to be studying abroad in England for 2 more credits, but that will be in another video. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, please let me know, and yeah, peace out.